And this is going to be a 24 millimeter. We've got that on our SP mid-torque impact. Big loud pop right there, and we're loose.
Kyle Thoreen, also known as Rustbelt Mechanic on YouTube, is a successful technician at a dealership in Ohio. He has also managed to make a name for himself on YouTube with how-to, product review, and vehicle build videos. While he is successful in the automotive technician world, he has gained a completely different type of success in the automotive industry with his videos that are not only entertaining, but informative. How does one gain simultaneous success in two completely different ways, and what are his future plans? Welcome to the Cutting Edge Garage Podcast.
Today in the studios we have Kyle, Rustbelt Mechanic. Kyle, thank you for taking the time to stop down and see us. We're really stoked about having you here.
Thanks, man. I'm glad to be here, Lee. It's been one of those things where I've been so excited to be able to actually get here for such a long time. I've been, kind of working in the back scenes with you guys, helping try to get your products out into the industry, showing how great they are and everything, but to actually finally see everything in person and get to see you guys it's been a nice experience.
God bless COVID.
That's right. Sure.
So tell us a little bit about yourself. Who is Kyle, the Rustbelt Mechanic?
Well, I am a mechanic from BFE Nowhere in Ohio. So for all those people who are subscribers who think I'm from some big city in California and everything, no, that's definitely not the case. I have a daily job. I don't just do YouTube. I am a mechanic at a Chrysler dealership. And I decided a couple of years back just to start a YouTube channel because I was bored in the middle of winter. It was one of those things. I was just really bored. I bought a new truck. I'm like, all right, I need something to do. And why not record a couple of videos of me just doing some fun stuff? So I never even started into the whole tool aspect kind of thing. I just went right into the truck stuff, and eventually stuff came around to tools and having fun.
Awesome. So about the mechanic side of what you do, is that in the blood, in the family, was it part of the plan? How'd you become a mechanic?
Well, kind of yes, kind of no. My family and everything, we were always into kind of more oddball automotive things, vehicles. My family was really big into AMC products growing up. So, one of those things
like Pacers and things like
javelins,
that? Oh.
AMXs. not quite that kind of realm. We're not going to go that low. Where my first car that I actually ever bought, before I even turned, I think, 16, was a 72 AMX.
Okay.
Didn't run, nothing. Put heads and a cam in that before I even got a moped to start driving. So yeah, started at that kind of in the family. And then what a lot of people don't also know is that I didn't actually even get into the automotive field to start off with. I went to college and almost have a full degree in criminal justice and interrogation habits and everything. So I went through that, and I'm 2 quarters shy of graduating with a degree in that, and then decided, I don't really want to do that either. I like playing with cars and, fixing stuff at home. So that's what I ended up jumping into finally after 4 years after graduating from high school. Finally got into that, and here I am 11 years later. I'm one of the highest certified technicians for Mopar in our area of the country, certified in everything I possibly can be, shop foreman at a dealership, and love doing what I do every day.
So you're obviously an intelligent individual because you drive a GM truck. Yet you work for Chrysler. Walk me through that. You do realize that if you look Dodge up in the dictionary, it says to avoid.
Trust me, it's one of those questions that I get almost on a weekly basis,
okay.
And it's one of those I'm going to poke at him kind of things constantly.
So now the AMC thing makes sense. So I didn't know that, before we started this. So I'm getting there now. I'm catching on. So why Chrysler?
Honestly, it was a whole circumstance of situations. I actually, when I wanted to get into the automotive field, I tried to get into the GM field. So for all of those little GM dealerships that I had applied for and was
Sucks to be
passed
you guys.
up on.
Sucks to be you.
Yeah. 2 different dealerships. I wanted to start in the automotive program at Sinclair Community College. It's a pretty good automotive college in Dayton, Ohio. I actually went in through there, and they place you into dealerships so you can get in through there and take their college courses at the same time. they actually hired me on at 2 different dealerships. And both times, about a week before I would actually start into my internship at those dealers, they're like, oh, well, we're kind of slow on work now. So, we're really not looking into this program anymore. So we're not going to be hiring you on anymore. So
nice.
Passed by twice. And then third time was a charm. They ended up coming back and said that, okay, well, there's a Chrysler dealership that's only 3 miles from your house that just so happens to be looking for a technician. So jumped on the wagon on that one. And
so Chrysler it was.
Chrysler, it ended up being all just by circumstance of situations there, and jumped in with them, and it worked out really great. And another funny story to that one, they actually didn't hire me off of my resume. I put in an application, resume, and everything. Like 2 weeks into starting the job there, they give me this 99 Ford Taurus, and they're like, hey, we need a transmission put into this. We know you're not really experienced or anything. And if anybody knows Ford Taurus, they're a pain in the butt to put these transmissions in. They're horrible. Dropping cradle, hanging the motor, the whole 9 yards. It's a pain. So 2 weeks into this, mind you, the only real mechanical stuff I've ever done on cars at this point was changing out spark plugs and air filters in my own stuff. Maybe the cam in the old AMX, but obviously that's, miles of room in that one. So 2 weeks into it, they have me swapping this transmission out, and it takes me 2.5 weeks to do it. They told me, doesn't matter how much time you take, just as long as it gets done. So I ended up going through and
because
doing
they
that.
hadn't explained to you how flat rate worked at that point in time.
Exactly.
Take your time, don't
Thankfully,
rush.
at this one, I was just an hourly technician that they knew and everything, so they were really patient with it. But after the 2.5 weeks, they were like, what ended up taking you so long? We thought that you had done this before. I'm like, I've never changed the transmission out. They're like, well, it says here that, you had experience of doing that. And then I get to looking at my resume, and it's got my cover sheet with my name and stuff there. And then it's got job history on a second sheet. Job history page, not my job history.
Oh, that's fun.
Says I worked at 2 lube shops and a mom and pop independent shop prior to this. And that's why they were like, oh, so you had to have had all this, experience
right.
beforehand.
Give it to the guy that came from the aftermarket. He'll do it.
Exactly. Yeah. And little did they know, they found out real quick. Whoops.
Oh, that's
and
fun.
by this point, I had already signed contract with working there and going to school for the whole apprenticeship program and everything. So
you were in.
Suckered in, and they lucked out.
Oh, that's a beautiful thing. That's a beautiful thing. So you've been with Chrysler your whole career, yes?
That is correct. Yep.
Yeah.
And I went through their CAP Chrysler Automotive program and graduated with that one, got all my certifications through them, and that's all I've ever been into the professional side of things, at least. Now, obviously, from the channel, I'm into a lot of other big diesel and Chevy stuff too, but.
So did you start at the same dealership that you're working at now? Is that you've
Yes.
been there the entire time?
No.
So
I
you left,
started.
came back?
Yep.
Okay.
I started there, and I worked there for about 6 years, 5.5, 6 years, and then was offered a job after I graduated at another dealership about 10 miles away or so. And at that time, me and the service manager of the dealership I work at now, we didn't see eye to eye. We'll put it that way. So I got offered a job. I ended up taking it. They let me go, no problem. And I went to this other dealership, and I worked there for 7 months. About 5 months in, I get all kinds of phone calls and text messages from my old one of the guys that works there also does heavy line work, and he asked me to come back and help to kind of figure something out, older issues on these cars that I was pretty good at. So I came back, helped him out here and there, and at that point, then they started texting me once a week, every other week, hey, you want to come back and help us with this? I'm like, dude, I don't work there anymore. It's not my thing. If you guys need to figure this out, then you need to get a tech who can actually figure this out.
And
Then
pay them.
Yeah.
Pay them.
That's the point.
Yeah.
They need to pay
Wouldn't have
them.
left had you been paying me to begin with.
Uh-huh. Exactly. So then 7 months in, they decided that, it was really a stupid thing that we did, and then ended up hiring me back for more money than what that current dealership was paying me to be able to get me to come back into it. So I left for 7 months.
And probably more than it would have taken to keep you to begin with.
Monetarily, no.
Okay.
But in the circumstances situation in that one, I got what I really wanted. Me and the service manager, who didn't exactly look eye to eye on that one, one of the main things of me coming back was an apology, because when I originally left, I wanted to leave on good terms, gave my 2 weeks notice, came back, and 4 days into that 2 weeks notice, he said, you guys can roll your stuff out, be done.
Did he starve you for the first part of that?
No, I had a Chrysler 300 and some other truck with an engine all the way torn apart. So massive warranty job, by the way, which if anybody knows flat rate warranty, yeah, it was sucking. So I had to do that one.
I had a very similar run-in with a service manager that was going to decided that we needed to part company while I had a Trans Am apart with an LS motor, and I'm putting pistons in it under warranty. 7,400 miles on the car. I took all the bolts, threw them in a 5-gallon bucket, said good luck with that, and left.
Funny thing is, how I left the other dealership was under that circumstance. I got upset with how they were running things, and I knew that the other dealership was going to take me back for more, and I had a Hemi torn apart in a police cruiser at the time. Heads, cam, all everything, because they had a wiped out cam. I just took the cam, took all the bolts, put them in a big AutoZone bucket, and ended up rolling on
right.
out.
Good luck with that.
Toolboxes
You might want to order
wheels for a reason.
That's right. You might want to order an engine just in case.
And they did. They definitely did.
There you go. How did the Rustbelt Mechanic thing come about? So you talked about that briefly, playing around with your stuff and trying to do some videos. How did you go from goofing off to taking this semi-seriously?
Well, at the point where I started the channel because I was bored, and I got that Chevy truck, which I know I get all flack for that one working at a Dodge dealership, but it was the first vehicle that I had ever gotten and owned that wasn't a rusty pile of crap, to say the least. So it was the first really, really nice vehicle. Working at a dealership, got this really great circumstance in which this guy traded in this Silverado California truck. Really, really low mileage, no rust on it. So I'm like, that is like, I don't even care if it's a Chevy. It's got no rust, and it's a big truck. That's what I want. I didn't even need a diesel, let alone a quad cab long bed one at the time. But you know what? I liked it, and it didn't have rust. So that's what I went in. So I started that with the channel very first off, and it was pretty slow, but I was trying to be as enthusiastic as possible. And then it got to the point 3 or 4 videos in where I started running out of content because I was running out of money for truck parts at that point. So then at that point I was like, all right, I've got all this big toolbox that I have to have every day anyways, and there's a lot of tool videos out there. So I started doing a couple of videos with some tool things, tool reviews, and the Snap-on, their rock and roll cab express that comes through. I'm like, well, there's not a whole lot of videos out on that one, so I went and did a kind of a walkthrough on the truck there. That was one of the very first videos. Within like a month or so, it hit like 20,000 views. Absolutely floored me, and I was
if you put
kind of
Snap-on's funny S logo on a pair of pink thongs, you'll find a big burly biker that'll buy them.
I learned that real quick, especially with thumbnails and videos.
Yeah, it's crazy.
You put that big old S on the front of a video, and it gets the views.
Yep.
So that was just one of the things where I ran into it, and I'm like, oh, well, I enjoy this stuff too, so I might as well make some content on that one.
Awesome. So our relationship, so you do a lot with us on the SB tool line, but that's not where we actually originally met.
Correct.
So walk us through that first product.
So first off, you have to give a big shout out to one of your employees who reached out to me first off, because I only had like, I want to say like 2,000 or 3,000 subscribers at the time. And they put his faith in me to be able to look at and do reviews on this scan tool line. I'm like, well, I haven't heard of it before. What was it? And they're like, the Top Don line. So I did my reviews on it. I put as much into it as I possibly could, and it was a pretty decent setup for the time, and especially good from the other stuff that I was kind of reviewing at the time from what I could afford. But then, you know, that's where we kind of met and working through those, and thankfully we ended up kind of evolving from that line because that one just crashed and burned like nobody's business.
So that would be Bill, but we don't want to give him a thumbs up or a big hug or, can't inflate the ego.
The guy's
at all.
all right. He's all right.
He did okay. I think he stumbled his way into that one.
I think he's a great employee.
Actually,
From the peanut gallery. There we are.
It did take a lot because I wasn't 100% sold on, and John can attest to this. I wasn't 100% sold on a YouTube influencer.
Now, what sold me to you? Was it one of those first videos, or after we started working with other things, what ended up saying, oh, we can still keep on, kind of working with him?
It was, so my hesitation with the whole YouTube thing was we try not to be fake in everything that we do. It is what it is. So I had the fear that if we went down that road, it was just going to come across as, you tooting our horn, so to speak. And I wasn't sure what we were going to get out of that. And I'm not a millennial. I am an old school, straight up in your face sales guy. So Bill and John are both like, no, we got to do this. We got to do this. So initially it was them. And then I think when you started doing some of the SP Tools reviews, for me, that's really when I was sold on, Kyle's the guy. And it takes a lot. I don't think people realize what you have to do what you do. I don't think people realize how hard it is to put the hours in that you do to be a shop foreman and a flat rate technician and come home at night, still find time for the family.
See, he knows
the
how
videos.
It is. Exactly. And that's how it is. Exactly. It's a lot of behind the scenes work that a lot of people don't understand that, oh yeah, I could start a YouTube channel, start it up. Let's see it. I'll watch it. No problem. I get people who ask me all the time, what do I need to do to start a YouTube channel? I said, content, consistency, more content. If
Right.
you can keep up with that for 2 months,
You might
you
start
got a
getting
YouTube
somewhere.
channel.
Right.
And that's going to take a lot more after that. It'll take a year to catch traction.
Right.
Unless you're, with a one-hit wonder kind of thing, 3 million views in a TikTok video. But
Still trying to figure that out. My daughter's got to take it. You ever heard of the bird thing?
yeah,
So
I think I know what you're talking about.
you just basically you're just standing together with your legs together, knees together, and you bend down and stand up. That's it. Now, I wish we could turn the John's laughing, so I wish we could turn the camera around and watch him do it. But apparently this can't be done, but by a few people. So that's essentially all she did, and I think she picked something up maybe when she did it. 1.2 million views, and I'm like, are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? All the effort that we put into social media, and we get like 100 likes.
Was she wearing a SP Tool shirt in it?
No, I told her, so what the hell's wrong with you, Courtney? This is a missed opportunity.
Traitor.
That's right. What? All of the bills I paid for this child. I can't get one. She didn't even no shout out, no nothing. Oh, I was brokenhearted. So anyway, the time and the commitment and what you bring to it. Also, I deal with so many people, internal and external to our organization, that are willing to tell me what I want to hear. And you weren't, and I respect that. Because
the funny thing was, in the beginning, I didn't exactly know who you were because I didn't deal with you directly. I had dealt with a couple of the other guys that dealt with the different product lines respectively to what you guys kind of deal with and handle with. So I was definitely giving my open and honest opinions, and then, I learned that it was going to the boss man who actually had the say in things, and the stuff that I was giving the instruction or the, my information for was actually getting taken into consideration and put into this product line. And that's what sold me on wanting to continue to work with SP and Cutting Edge Automotive Solutions and the different companies that you guys have, is the fact that you weren't the conglomerate, the big tool, hard engine kind of thing that's going on right now. You were still I guess more or less a family-driven kind of business here, trying to bring good products into the U.S. and make a good name for yourself with the good products that you have. So taking that time and that information from what I had to offer and then actually putting it into your product was something that I hadn't seen personally yet. More often than not, I would put my 2 cents into a company and it would get thrown into a giant bucket of nonsense, and you'd never hardly ever get even a response back, let alone like, hey, let's hear some more of your ideas. You know, I take this into consideration. I'd respect what you do, and that's what you guys definitely did. And people don't understand that when I work with a lot of companies, there's a lot of companies who contact me. I delete probably 50 emails a day from all these companies who want to, you know, hey, can we get this on your channel? Have a look at this. Have a look at that. No, I really don't want to review my 357th LED light bulb. Trust me, I don't need that. So,
but ours is white.
Ours flashes green. How about that?
That's right.
But no, I get so many companies that want me to do work with them, but they don't want to put the effort into actually taking my advice into what they want to do and work with as a company, and they're more or less just wanting to pay for advertisement.
Right.
And that's not what I do on my channel. I only do reviews and things with products that I actually believe in and that actually work. If you look at my channel, I don't have any, I guess, quote unquote, bashing videos to where, hey, this tool ended up failing so horribly, so I'm going to, you know, bury this company into, you know, the ground, and what I think of them is horrible. I don't have time for that. I have so much content that I want to do. There's so much rattling around up here that I want to be able to get out that I just don't have time for all of that extra nonsense and negativity. So that's why I have a giant pile of stuff on and around my toolbox at work right now that is products that never have and never will make the channel. I mean, to be totally honest, you guys have given me stuff that honestly haven't and won't get onto the channel. And you guys also took that into consideration and have made changes in the lineup from things off of that. I don't like doing fake reviews, and the subscribers can tell that in a heartbeat.
Yep.
That's one of those things. The internet actually does not lie in this aspect. If they find out that you're lying, they will rip you to shreds in a heartbeat.
The irony there was when you did the high output jump pack, right? So you do that and you did it twice.
I did.
Because, you know, these guys are calling bullshit, and which was what I was afraid of. You know, I didn't want it to, you know, our products to look like we were trying to put fluff out there. And so guys like this, you know, you're not doing this or you're not doing that, or so you had to go back and redo the video. How frustrating was that?
It was really frustrating because normally I don't let things get to me. I don't like getting bad reviews to things, but I'm always open to criticism because that's one of the ways that you make yourself better. That's one of the ways I'm able to make my channel better. But when my personal integrity is put on the line for the kind of videos that I do, and people think that I put false information out there, that's where it kind of started to really like scratch at me. So when I made the first initial video to that one, I used my Duramax and I drained the batteries, and it took me like 6 hours out of my day. It took forever. Like this video, my wife can attest, she's sitting in the background, that video literally took an entire weekend away from doing everything else. But I really wanted to do it because this jump pack, I had used it at work and it really, really worked. I had taken these batteries all the way down to like 5 volts, and it used it, and it jumped my jump pack, or it jumped the truck right away. And I used a leading competitor's jump pack at the same time, and it wasn't even hardly able to help it click over at all. And people were just nailing it in the comments, just saying that how much that, you know, you're just faking it. There's somebody in the background with a set of jumper cables, or you got a switch inside of the truck with this and that. And when I did the test, I had these leads on one of the batteries, and it showed the battery at like 9 volts or 8 volts, something like that. And right before I went to crank the truck over, you could see in the camera one of the leads like fell off. So in that half second between that falling off and the truck actually starting, everyone's like, oh, at that time somebody clicked the switch on and you know, jumped the truck and this and that. So, all right, well, because
let's do this all over again.
So I literally took that entire test section out of the video and retested it on Sunday, my one other day off during the week. So drained the batteries.
Different results though, right?
Drained the batteries back down, and I used 2 cameras on that one, and I totally unhooked the second battery, and I unhooked the cables from the system totally, so there wasn't even, you know, a factor in it. Watch this. This camera's watching me to make sure I don't touch anything else, and same results. You know, the other one failed. This one actually excelled even better on that one because I had actually gotten it like 2 days before and hadn't put it through a full like overnight charge yet. And I actually charged it all the way up overnight, and it jumped the truck multiple times on one battery with 5 volts. Whereas the other one couldn't.
That's pretty impressive.
It was. And it was great, and that's why I really wanted to do that video, because it really is a product that I really, really believed in, and it's something that's better than everything else on the market that I use. It's not me wanting to sell tools, because what a lot of people also don't know is, you know, yes, I give a coupon code out for SP Tools and everything for your site, and you guys are great to give that for my subscribers. But I also have, and I've said this multiple times, like I don't want to make money off of that. I want that to be for the tools that I believe in that are on your site for people to get their hands on good working tools. I'm a big proponent for newer technicians coming in, and tools are expensive, like really expensive. So if I'm able to give my subscribers a little bit of a discount here and there, help them out, it's something that I really like to be able to do for them. But I don't make any commission sales off of what I do for you.
No,
like
you don't.
I don't make any kind of percentages, because I don't want to be able to do that one for the tools that I really believe in. I want to be able to show how they work, see them working, and put them into the hands of somebody else. And all the people that I know of, at least, who have purchased some of those tools that I've reviewed, or been lucky and we've done giveaways here or there for some of the guys that are on the channel, they absolutely love them. I still have 2 or 3 guys that message me nonstop about using their the 1/2-inch mid-torque impact.
Yep.
That SPE impact that does like 700 foot-pounds of breakaway out of a mid-torque impact that weighs like 4.5 pounds. Yes, I still remember all these specs. You know, steel trap right there. And he still messages me, and this thing is just, it is beat to crap and back. He's a trailer technician. He works on trailers out in the middle of nowhere all the time, and it is, I thought mine looked used. His is way abused. And he's like, yep, still pulling lug nuts off of trailers and still taking leaf springs and these airbag stuff off. Still working every single day. And that's the kind of stuff that I like to see, that the stuff that I review, it actually works, and people know that it does when they actually purchase it.
I gotta say, I think the whole crew was skeptical. We were optimistic, but we were skeptical when that jump pack came in. So we rented a Penske truck and left the ignition on, let the batteries wear down, and that took how long, Jacob? 8 hours and it was like watching water boil. But nobody left. Nobody left. Everybody stayed because they wanted to see, is this thing actually going to work? So we did the video of it starting back up, and I have to say that I, deep inside thought it's not going to do it. It's just that Cummins is pulling too much amperage, and it's just not going to have enough go-go juice, and it fired right off, and everybody had a big smile on their face, and we're like, okay, now we got to send it to Kyle and get an actual video done.
The first thing that I used it on, I actually didn't video. I used it on if anybody knows the new Cummins that just came out, the new body style 2020s came out with a 1,000 foot-pound high output diesel in the Cummins. And for the technicians who are working on them, for the ones that are sitting on the lot, somebody leaves something on, if one of those Cummins goes dead, you're going to have 3 or 4 jump packs out there to get that thing started. I've never had this much issue with even old Ford 6.0s getting started. But this new Cummins, it takes a lot to do it. And I got the chance to go out, and it was, it was pretty early on in the week, and I was skeptical all the same. It had only had like a 55 or 60% charge on it. So I'm like, whatever. Went out, put it on that Cummins, and sure enough, started that thing up like it had no issues, like it had brand new batteries in it. And I'm just like, I don't know.
That was a fluke.
I don't know about that
Right.
one. Like, was there just a loose connection somewhere? And that's where I had to get into the actual controlled test on my own at my house. And after I went through that test, I was floored. I do those videos as I'm learning about the products too,
Right.
especially in that circumstance. It's not like I had been using this product for like 3 months ahead of time. I'm like, well, these people say it's good. We're going to see if it's good or not.
Right.
And
We're going to find out if it actually works. There you go. What's the ultimate goal with the YouTube side of your business?
Well, as of this point right now, it's hard to say just because things are so fluid. Things change. I've got something shiny syndrome, and I just get these wild dreams and aspirations left and right, and I jump back and forth. My wife knows. I'll just end up calling her one day, hey, I bought a Cadillac. It's for you. It's for the channel. I thought it was kind of cool. It just kind of works down the line of things. So, it's hard to say, but I do like to have a life plan and a life goal. I'm one of those guys where I like planning 3, 5, 10 years ahead of time. And it's one of those things I've really thought about and put a lot of effort into, only as of the short time lately, because only as of a short time ago, I realized that, hey, this YouTube thing is actually becoming something it's getting bigger, it's gaining traction, gaining momentum, and I'm getting excited about it. I'm not bored of it. I thought that maybe a year or two, I'm like, I'd get bored with that. You lose steam. No, it's actually picked up momentum, and the subscribers that I have are absolutely amazing. I love being able to do what I do with them and for them. I like having the interactive channel that I have. So building off of what I have is something that I want to move forward with. And it's been a thought to where it could be some kind of a career that's built in with something that I want to do. So as of right now, yes, I do work at a dealership. I work full-time there. I'm there for 44 and a half hours a week. I work flat rate and I do shop foreman duties there. So it is a full-time job and a half at that one. And then I come home and decide that I want to do YouTube stuff. So I round it out. I like to put the amount of time that I have into family, work, and home evened out throughout the week. So I put roughly 15 hours a week into the YouTube side of things. So moving on down the line, if for some reason I was able to get my own shop and start doing some of the builds that I personally really want to do myself, I think that's something that the channel could evolve into eventually. Hopefully, that's what I'm kind of aspiring to work towards.
That's what I'm working towards.
I
That's
know.
what this is.
As
my
you
toy
can
box.
see the back, if you guys can't see the background here, this garage that he's got here is amazing. You get a couple lifts. It's air conditioned in here.
Yes.
For you guys who actually work in an air conditioned shop, which is nobody listening.
Well, robust young men like myself cannot work hard in 98 degrees and 98% humidity. We're just not built for that.
I mean, you were at one time, but
Yeah, but I was 25 and much thinner.
yep, I can see. I suffer through that one quite often. Ohio, boy, it gets muggy in there too. And this last week, boy, it's been about 95 degrees in the shop and 97% humidity, where it'll rain for about 3 minutes in the afternoon and just make it miserable.
Just
to work
enough to maintain the sauna.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
That's exactly right.
So, speaking of builds, you just recently did a build or are still working on a build on the BRP, correct?
Yes. And
So tell us about that.
So the Can-Am project this year was something that I had in kind of the back of my mind for the last year or so. Like, I really, really wanted to do that. After I got in and started with the Duramax, I really liked that off-road aspect of things. And I really wanted to build some kind of a crazy go-kart was what I had in mind. And then Can-Am came out with the new X3s. And I was like, that's what I want to build, but they already have it there, and we could make it really great. And there's so many options for it, so many buildable things to it. So I wanted to go for that one, and if anybody knows those, they're also pretty darn pricey. They definitely,
They are emotionally attached to them.
they really are.
I didn't realize that, to be honest with you, until I think we were having a marketing meeting or something one day, and Jesse told me how much they were, and I'm like,
Yeah.
nah.
Yeah, like 30.
Yeah. And I'm like, dude, that's a car. He's like, yeah, but that's what they are.
I know. But now I've got where it's come to, and we decided to start working with that one, and it just so happened to be the right color concept and everything. So I'm like, you know what? Let's get some really great stuff involved in with this channel, because it'll kind of be hard to just jump from, hey, I'm doing big lifted trucks and tools, to, hey, I want to work on my side-by-side a little bit here. So the views just kind of wouldn't be there. So we kind of need to tie in some tools. And I really love the SP tool stuff. So I gathered up all of the SP tools and everything that I had and brought them home. And I wanted to be able to build the side-by-side and at the same time be able to showcase a lot of the SP tools that I like using the most. So in each one of those episodes, I like to show those SP tools that work just as well for me at the professional level at the shop as it would in a home situation and working on, you know, my side-by-side project. And that's where I ended up getting that idea, and I wanted to be able to work with you guys on that one. We got a really awesome SP Tools wrap on it too, which I think turned out killer.
The wrap is awesome. The guys did a great job on the wrap for sure.
Yep, so it turned out nice, and we've been adding a lot of really great products from a lot of really good companies as well, but at the same time being able to use and showcase those tools that I don't always get to show how well they do and how well they perform. And that's why I like to show them in action there at the house. The only thing about that build that I don't like is that a lot of the time I do that one at my house. So I want to be able to showcase the SP tools that I like the most. Well, the tools that I like the most, I also like to use them at work, but I got to have them at home for the videos.
We have
for this one.
extras.
So I'm constantly having to haul these things back and forth from work to home to work to home because I like using them all the time. Mainly like the pry bars, the SP pry bars, the mid-torque impact. That thing gets taken back and forth from home to work. My wife gets tired of seeing it on the kitchen island. Yeah, I got to take it with me. Don't worry about it. It just sits there. The magnetic recharging lights, you have to have those. Thankfully, my buddy Captain Ron ended up buying one of those, so he's got those sitting on his box at work.
So you can just borrow his.
I kind of borrow those here
There you
and there,
go.
you know?
Every now and then. That's awesome. Street legal, is it not?
It definitely is.
Yeah.
It is, at this point, 250 horsepower of insanity.
That's
Launch control, two-step, able to fly up over curbs, go down the highway, well, not the highway legally, but down a road.
in Alabama.
Yeah. Or hop into a field and do 90 mile an hour across the cornfield. Fun stuff.
That's something I definitely have to drive one of these days, without a doubt.
Oh, that's where I wish that it was closer for you guys to be able to see and enjoy that thing, because my wife got to be driving it this last week. If you look at her Instagram, she put up a couple little videos on there and said, look what I got, and she's got the key tag and the Can-Am thing, and she's been driving it around. The first day she got it, I had 3/4 of a tank of fuel in it, and I get into it the next day, and it doesn't even have a quarter tank left in it. She put like 50 miles on that thing.
Did it give you the little kid giggle?
Absolutely. And I didn't use the launch feature that day.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
So then I got into actually showing her how this works, how to use this one, the audio roof. She loves being able to cruise around with her tunes jamming. And then I showed her how to use the launch control. So with that one, when you experience launch control in an all-wheel drive or a four-wheel drive side-by-side, you go from nothing to looking at the sky and the thing doing 60 mile an hour in like 3 seconds.
That's awesome. So one of the things that we share in common is that that passion for getting younger people into the business.
Yeah.
I think one of the challenges that the industry's had as a whole, getting young people into the business, is the negative connotation that goes along with being a mechanic, number one. And then number two is I don't think that anybody explains to them all of the possibilities that go along with the automotive industry. You know, even if you choose, like yourself, you choose to be, you know, a technician for, you know, this period of time, but that life goal can be something different, still tying back to your, you know, technician roots, you know, like mine with the tool and equipment business that I'm passionate about. So there's so many different avenues out there. What would your advice be to, you know, that younger generation kid or younger guy that's, you know, stuck in a career he doesn't like, that's watching your channel? What would your advice to them be?
And that can be something that you can drive and aspire to. And that's what I like to be able to show the younger guys in the automotive community, that you can make it whatever you want it to be. A lot of the times, the older guys on the channel who were commenting on a lot of my early on videos, they would tell me how I was leading the younger crowd astray to what the tool community or what the automotive community was actually like. And that just really wasn't the case. Like, I honestly 100% enjoy my career to the fullest every day. Like, I don't come home and like, wow, work was terrible. I wish I didn't have this job. I wish I could do something else. Ever. I've never said that, and I never will. Because it can be what you make it to be. And being able to show that in that younger community is something that we really want to be able to build up in the industry, because a lot of the guys that have that stigma is attached to, oh, just a dumb mechanic. No. Being a mechanic these days, it's not that easy. You actually have to put effort into it if you want to succeed. And me personally, just like my own mantra is, why get into something if you're not going to be the best at it?
Right.
So when I started off, I got all of the different certifications, all of the different areas of expertise that I possibly could as fast as I could, because I wanted to be the best at what I did. So these newer technicians that are coming in, they're actually coming in with some of the older generation that still has that ideal that, yeah, it's just a job, and you know, I come into work, I work my 8 to 5 and go home, drink a couple of beers and start the next day. I'll retire at some point, and that's all they aspire to. And I try to teach the newer technicians coming in that you could make it something totally more, totally better for yourself. The options are totally endless. These skills that you have going on are, as a blue collar, I guess, quote unquote, blue collar technician in the field, has endless possibilities. Like, I don't have to work at this one place that I'm at. It's not like working at a factory where my skill set is one lane narrow-minded. It can be something totally wider, and you could take those skill sets and put it into a bunch of different things in a heartbeat. You could leave that job and you could have another job, if you're good at what you do, within, you know, hours. That's why they always say toolboxes have wheels for a reason.
Yep.
Because those jobs are out there, and we have such a huge shortage of technicians these days. People don't understand how much of a shortage there actually is.
If you're good, you literally can write your own deal.
Yep.
That's why those guys called you back, and you were able to say, yeah, I'll come back, but these are my conditions. And they said, okay. When we moved down here, we originally moved to the South in 2003, and I didn't have a job. And Steph owned her own business in Baltimore, and so she sold her business. And when we moved down here, she didn't have a job, and I didn't have a job. I had the arrogance of, I'm one of the best technicians around. I can find a job anywhere. Now, I don't recommend that to anyone, because you're going to find a job that you're not overly happy about before you find the one that you want. But we literally were able to move from Baltimore to Gulf Breeze, Florida, without employment, knowing that once I got there with my credentials and references that I could find a job easy. And I did. And again, it wasn't the one that I wanted, It took me a
But
little
you
while.
worked towards it.
I did. So,
And that's what I love showing the newer technicians coming into the automotive industry is it really is what you make of it. If you put hard work and effort into it, you can make it a career that you absolutely love and love to see. I got lucky enough when I started into the automotive world that I had a mentor, and he was a good mentor. He actually liked coming to work. He liked doing what he did. He had 20 plus years into it, and he gave me a lot of, I guess, more of the hard knocks version of learning the automotive sense. It's not that frilly, oh, you could do anything you want and just hope that it happens. No, you got to work your butt off to be able to do it. If you want to be able to get where you want, you have to put in the hours. You have to put in the time. When you go home, you have to want to look for the training. You want to have to put in that extra overtime to be able to do that. And a lot of the, I guess, the newer generation doesn't have either that personal drive to be able to do it, or they're not lucky enough to have a mentor like that to be able to lead them into those greater possibilities. And that's where I like making a lot of those videos on my channel, to be able to give them that opportunity to grow and grow faster, be a better technician, better themselves in the career that they want to be in.
Yep.
So that's why last year I had started Rustbelt Mechanic Scholarship Fund, and we actually did some giveaways. We raised about just under $1,000 for the scholarship within like 3 months.
that's awesome.
Ended up giving that to a couple of the local students by where I'm at. They have a Tech USA challenge. So the top industry techs that are in high school level, they go in through and they do their USA skills challenge and test their knowledge and ability of what they have at that age and that grade level. And they can go on, move from local to regional to state. So we ended up giving our local guys a couple of tool sets, and then our regional guys, you actually helped in on that one, and we were able to give each one of those top three, I think it was like $250 or $300 in the SP tools that they really wanted, and I chipped in more, and we ended up getting them like $500 or $600 in free tools at the high school level. And at that high school level, one of the hardest things to be able to come by is good tools.
Right.
You're making that jump to Harbor Freight a lot at that age.
When I was coming up, it was Craftsman.
Me too.
And that was expensive.
Yeah, that was even expensive to what it was. I got lucky and I had some hand-me-down stuff that I was able to kind of get me into the world, and still I started getting sucked in by the tool truck kind of things. And being able to give the newer technicians that opportunity to not have to get on the tool truck as long as you can, to stay off of it as long as you can, to be able to give them a good third option to it. That was something that I really like to be able to do for them. And that's what I started a lot of that side of my channel for, was to help out those newer technicians, give them that extra little step in effort to be able to start off their tool collection, to start off their career, and then give them some ideas and give them some greater knowledge into knowing that this automotive field can and will make your life and your career something better. It can be what you want it to be. So that's what I love to be able to offer to the younger guys.
I've raised 6 kids.
Sorry.
Yeah, me too. One of them's probably floating around here somewhere. It's not behind the camera, but anyway, yeah. And most of that, so the most of them are grown and gone at this point. So all of that was done while I was still actively turning wrenches. It was the latter part of my career when I switched to Snap-on in the diagnostics program and got into the tools and equipment. But that whole time, raising the kids when they were young was, I did that as a technician. So
it's a challenge.
Yeah.
It really is. And even starting off in my automotive career, that wasn't the only job that I did. When I went to school, so that was right after my wife graduated. So I decided to go back and do the automotive program. So I did the automotive program at school. So that was like 4 to 6 hours out of the day, every day. After that was done, thankfully I had all my gen ed stuff done, so I didn't have to go all day. After that was done, I'd come back and I'd work at the dealership for 2 or 3 hours in the afternoon. Well, I still had to pay for my tuition into college, So after I got done working there 3 or 4 days a week, I went to work in an auto parts store in the evening. And then to supplement the extra income that we needed for the house, I also did answers to an online question and answer page for technicians once I actually started to learn what I was doing in the field. And I did moonlighting, answering these questions more or less at like 11 o'clock at night for people across the U.S. on this online question and answer page for automotive stuff.
Yeah, I did side work, and I lived at the dealership.
Oh, and not to
that's
mention
how
the side work.
Yeah.
And
that's how I did it.
once the family smells the blood in the water, they know, oh, he's a technician.
Right.
He can fix stuff.
And
Hey, buddy, I need my
for
car
free
fixed.
or cheap, or
That's right.
free and cheap. And why don't you pay for my parts too? Can you give me a discount on
The
the parts?
family discount,
Yeah,
correct?
exactly. Oh man, it's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful thing. So, what is it that drives that technician spirit that's in you?
The challenge. Again, that inner mantra of being the best that I absolutely can be in what I do. I don't like to say that I'm a perfectionist, because a lot of the times that takes your vision and your sight away from failure. And failure is one of those things that you can build off of more than anything. I don't like to let that get me down in any way, shape, or form. So I like to say that I do the best at what I can do. And being an automotive technician gives me that thrill to it, because it is absolutely different every single day. Every time I go in there, it is never, ever going to be the exact same car doing the exact same thing. It's never an assembly line of things. I mean, the closest we get to that would be, doing recalls nowadays, something along those lines. But even that, it's a different vehicle that comes in. Somebody takes care of the vehicle in a different way, so you have to work around the problems that come up in those situations. And then where I'm at in my career now as a shop foreman and a really good diagnostician is I get a lot of the harder vehicles that come into the shop. One of the things of working at a dealership is you're the end of the line. Working in an independent area,
You have
can
the
always
ability to say, take it to the dealer.
take it down the road.
Yeah.
Dealers down the road. Me, being the top guy at the dealership, I can't even be the other guy at the dealership. Like, nah, give it to the engine guy, give it to the trans guy. No, I'm the one who's certified in everything across the board. So if I don't figure it out, there's nobody else to hand it to and just shrug it off to. You have to be able to figure it out. So having that challenge that you absolutely have to be the one to be able to fix this, because you're the best at what you do. And even today, there's certain things that I run into that, like, wow, I've never seen that before. I don't know why that did that, but you know what? We're going to figure out how, because the technology that we have these days is beyond comprehension for a lot of the people who own the cars. They don't realize how many electronic control miles, how many miles of wiring that are run in these newer systems, how the communication-based systems work between all of these control modules. It's mind-boggling how much training that we have to go through just to get a small comprehension of how these things work. They also get kind of a thing built into their head when the customer comes in that, oh, he's a mechanic, I just give my car to him and he fixes it right away. Well, these days it's not like it was before where somebody brought it in because it's broken. No, nowadays it's, oh yeah, one day 3 weeks ago when I went over this one bump, this happened.
Right.
And I have to try to find that one issue out.
And try to duplicate it.
Which cars these days, they have adaptive learning in a lot of things, and they don't like doing the same thing over again, especially if they didn't like it.
Right.
So they're learning to what they do, and they learn how you drive and things, so they try not to mess up. So people don't understand how a lot of these vehicles work. So the diagnostic process is one of the things where you have to teach your customers in as much as I have to teach the younger technicians in
Right.
as well, because they don't know and understand how we have to diagnose the newer cars in the industry. But it's a challenge absolutely every day to be able to do things. And
There's a big high that goes on the other side of that, though, when you are the guy that fixed something that nobody else could.
that is one of the greatest feelings, I would have to say, especially when it comes to those things that's been to 3, 4 other shops down the road. You know, it started with my cousin Ricky in the backyard. He couldn't figure it out. We took it to my other brother Daryl down the road. He couldn't figure it out. Independent shop that I paid $150 to 3 times couldn't figure it out. So,
And each one of them broke it a little bit more as it went.
as you get the car and you see these 4 or 5 bolts sitting in random areas of the engine bay, you're like, this is where we're starting.
Every now and then, though, you get that guy that doesn't know how to put his tools away, and you pick up a free 10mm wrench.
I have picked up some really nice tools in that way.
It's a beautiful thing. So, what is it that that you would like everybody to know about Rustbelt Mechanic, and how do they get in touch with you?
Well, the one thing that I would like to, I guess, portray the most, that if people don't know or they're newer to the channel, is the content that I put out. And me personally, I only put stuff out that I absolutely 100% believe in. Like I said before, the reviews that I do, you know, that's all fun and all, but I only do stuff that I really believe in. Honestly, I love doing the builds and the hands-on things so much more. And that's the kind of content that I really want to be able to get in doing and using. I still want to be able to give good tool reviews and everything for the technicians who are getting into the industry and understanding what is a good tool, what is something that actually works in these situations, but also tying it into a hands-on experience with it too. So I'm going to try to put as much as myself into the channel, into my career with this channel, and I want it to be able to grow into something that is a big thing and almost like a name staple to the automotive industry, in that you can be what you want this career to be, helping out new technicians and hopefully helping them grow into something, you know, bigger and better down the road. So ultimately that's where I want things to go, and that's what I would like people to know me for. Getting a hold of me is actually really easy. You can either email me at therustbeltmechanic@gmail.com, or I'm on Instagram all the time. You can DM me anytime there. Facebook, I've got it. My phone dings about 50 times a day, so if I don't get to you right away, I still like to at least answer every single message that I get to, even if it's one of those things where like, hey, I don't really have the time to help you out with this thing, but I'm going to try to do what I can. And I put time into that. Literally every morning I wake up every morning at like 5 o'clock in the morning, not because that's the job I have to do, but my mind is just wired that way.
I can relate to that.
So I get up and I have to have stuff to do, and that's the stuff I do at 5 in the morning. So when you get replies to your emails or your direct messages at 5 a.m. in the morning, that's why.
Gotcha. So, family side to the business. Any kids?
I do. I have one son. My son Vance, best kid in the world. 9 years old, full of, you know, spunk and everything. He has also taught me the most amount of humility in my life that I absolutely could.
Kids are good for that.
Kids in general, but he is exceptional at it. He's autistic, and he is a handful at times, but he has taught me patience and afforded me the amazing experiences that, you know, he has, and I wouldn't change it for the world. My family is the heart and soul of everything that I do, and if for any reason anything that I do in the way of automotive or the YouTube thing would ever get in the way of that, I'm sorry, but they would come first over that. And that's some of the shortcomings that I have to the channel here and there. I may not be as punctual as possible, or I may not get, you know, to live streams as easily as I might be able to, but that's because I do put my family above all, absolutely. And my wife, she is absolutely the heart and soul of keeping me kind of driven and anchored down in what I do, because this something shiny brain that I have often goes to, you know, making decisions and purchases that probably aren't the best idea in the world. So need that second opinion in there. Thankfully, she is there for me.
That's awesome. Kyle, thank you for taking the time to be with us today.
I appreciate it.
We're gonna switch roles here in a little while. You're gonna interview me.
No, I'm excited.
Which, yeah, I'm nervous for some reason.
It'll be a good one.
But thanks again. Thank you everybody for joining us. We'll see you again soon in the Cutting Edge Garage.
Thanks, guys.